Hello fellow leggers, thank you for joining us once again. We're in the heart of London's West End at the Duke of York's Theatre,
where we are seeing a classic play by one of the most performed dramatists of all time, Henrik Ibsen, and that is Rosmersholm.
I'm glad you're the one saying
Rosmersholm. 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 Shomerholm.
Who knows?
Who knows?
But stick around to hear all of our thoughts.
Yeah, find out how many stars and whether it's break a leg or leg it.
Ibsen, I'm fast becoming a big fan of Ibsen. Seeing all the adaptations that we've seen, I've really enjoyed his work. Yep. I don't know this at all, so I'm quite intrigued right off the bat.
Absolutely. It's hard not to get excited when his work is as strong as A Doll's House, the most performed play of the 20th century, The Wild Duck, Hedda Gabler, Ghosts.
Love those.
They're all massively classic. He knows his stuff when it comes to political family dramas, and this is another example of one of those.
He does it well.
It was written in 1886. It's the story of the Rosmer family, and particularly John Rosmer, who goes from a respected aristocrat and converts to liberalism in the wake of his wife's suicide.
Okay, sounds like an Ibsen,
it
sounds
does,
heavy.
But this is a brand new adaptation of the original text, this time by Duncan Macmillan. Now, you'll know Duncan as the artistic director of Headlong Productions. He was the director of All My Sons at the Old Vic, Labour of Love, and People, Place and Things, for which he received the Olivier Awards.
He did, good stuff there.
Absolutely. Okay. Directed by Ian Rickson. Ian did a Olivier Award-winning turn with his direction of Jerusalem, starring Mark Rylance, that took over to Broadway and it swept up at the Tonys as well. Also Against at the Almeida.
We've got a
review for that. Great floor, guys, great floor.
Not his fault.
Had a good cast though, because Ben Whishaw was in that, very talented, and this has a great cast too, including Hayley Atwell, who plays Rebecca West. She's a 2-time Olivier Award nominee, once for The Pride and another from A View from the Bridge. Ooh. But she's also got loads of TV and film credits to her name, including one of the Captain America films. I don't know how big a part she is though, never seen it.
Okay.
Tom Burke plays John Rosmer. His stage roles include The Deep Blue Sea at the National and The Cut at the Donmar Warehouse, but he's probably best known for his part in the BBC adaptation of the J.K. Rowling novels Strike, which he played the lead role in.
I don't know them either.
I know, but do you know, it was popular. 88% on Rotten Tomatoes, so it must be good.
Okay.
And rounding off the cast, well, I say rounding off, there's lots more people in it, but the ones we're going to talk about now is Giles Terera, who plays Andreas in this. Giles is known for a lot of stage work, including Ma Rainey's Black Bottom at the National, Book of Mormon, but of course he was the original Aaron Burr in the London production of Hamilton,
which he won the
2018 Best Actor in a Musical Olivier Award. So
there we go. Okay, so some really nice ingredients so far before the mix. Let's see what happens.
Let's see what happens in the 2 hours and 20 minutes this play takes, including a 15-minute interval. So we'll be catching up with you at the midway point to let you know what we're thinking.
And as usual, stick around to the end to hear our thoughts and find out how many stars. We've come to the interval, which means it is time for the break.
Although I've got to say, we'll talk about it a bit later, but the interval maybe came a little bit further on into it than we might have expected. So stick around to the end to find out about that. But right now it's time for the Break a Leggers
30-second interval breakdown. Go! What do you think so far?
I mean, I really love Ibsen, and I love the fact that 130 years on from when this is written, it's like it's speaking through the ages and saying, guys, we learn nothing. I love that about it. It feels relevant, it feels edgy, and I'm just loving Ibsen.
It's almost timeless, isn't it? A real political piece, quite different to the other pieces of his I've seen. I'm really enjoying the performances, the production. Really interested to know where it's going to go next. I feel as if it's building towards one of those big Ibsen finishes. I think there's going to be... We've come to the end. So, what did you make of Rosmersholm?
Rosmersholm. They say it quite a lot. You do get used to how it's pronounced, but it's Rosmersholm.
What do you think of it come the end? Did it pay off for you?
No.
Like Ibsen does?
No, it didn't. And I want not to say I didn't enjoy it, but I think Back in the 18...
Hi, Dad. I'll be there in a minute.
Back in the late 1800s, I'd imagine this to be
Radical.
Big
and, ideas.
Oh my God, I can't believe
Statements.
people are saying these things, and people are saying that women can have a voice, and how the audacity of the situation where women are pushing towards a vote and equality and this communist idea or an ideal. I mean, I can imagine at the time it was outstandingly, completely revolutionary. But right now, and in this adaptation, I feel it's somewhat lost in translation. There were parts where I was confused. There were parts I was bored in. There were parts where I was feeling, have I missed something? And those are the sort of things that I think are in the adaptation.
Can we just pause for a little because it's all going off behind you?
It's kicking off,
like
guys.
Literally, this is road rage in London.
Central London road rage.
So like this may be drawn
out of their cars
for evidence.
Yeah.
Drawn from the police. But anyway, I think what we were also now we're kind of making it sound better than what it is in a way. Let's come back to it because there are some real echoes still that are relevant today.
Absolutely.
I felt a lot in there about fake news.
Yes.
Donald Trump using or just propagandist material. You hear it a lot around Brexit and
I think
people just following articles without actually looking to the evidence. And if it's printed in a newspaper, therefore it must be true.
To give it a bit of context, I mean, I think it's about reputation in this, and when someone is in a position of power or political leadership, the media can sway people's opinions of them one way or another very, very easily. And it's almost throwaway because it's today's news is tomorrow's chip paper, but it can make an impact at the point where it matters most. And that was interesting.
And also comments on should everyone be allowed to vote or have a say on what happens?
Yeah, or should you be means tested? Should the people that actually are enlightened and educated on subjects be the only ones that are allowed to have an opinion on it?
And have a vote and a say in a direction of where we should be heading. So I guess some interesting echoes of now.
Yeah, it's Brexity, let's face it. Let's not
Brexity political, it's
Brexit
definitely there.
In the Trump era, it is still there, and it's depressing. It's actually quite depressing to think that in the 130 years since this has been written, we are still fighting those same battles where we are making stupid decisions based on ill information. It's always been the same, guys. This isn't new. Fake news is not new news.
Okay, so all of that is in there. I also got a bit lost. I've always been on an Ibsen very clear on people's drives and what was going on in some of these complex dialogue scenes. In this, towards the end, I was quite lost as to what the driving factor was for each of them. And the manipulation and the power play of really meaning this but also meaning this, but I was trying to do this but then I felt this. I got a bit lost and I was trying to figure it out, and as such I got slightly disengaged. I thought this is clever, and Ibsen clearly understands the inner drivings
the human condition,
of people,
which is what he does best. But
and
in this adaptation, I think Duncan has lost it. I think he's lost it.
We're blaming Duncan.
Yeah, I'm blaming the adaptation.
We're not sure if it's Duncan or Ibsen.
I just think based on the strength of the other Ibsen work that we've seen, if there's something he's clear about, it's drive, purpose, motivation, and an understanding of the human condition. And if you can fudge that up, then it's surely the adaptation, right?
Well, that's what we're assuming.
I mean, that's what we're assuming.
That's what we're assuming.
Let's move
so the
on.
piece is interesting in places, but overall, it kind of ended up where I thought it would end up.
Predictable.
A little bit predictable, but again, you have that, I think, a little bit with Ibsen. You feel as if we're kind of going off a cliff and we're slowly getting there. Everything is slowly decaying. So, a little bit predictable.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's the piece.
Yeah, that's the piece. But let's talk about the performances. Hayley Atwell in the role of Rebecca West. I mean, considering she's got a huge amount of credits, there wasn't a lot of subtlety in her performance for me.
Are you saying you didn't enjoy it?
I thought she was just a bit selling it. Like, I thought it was a bit whorish of a production. You know, when you just lay it all out there and there's no titillation.
No subtleties.
I didn't get much titillation from her. I just got sort of, I am this now. This is the height of my... It was just very sort of whoa, 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 whoa in my face.
I disagree. I really enjoyed her performance. I thought she was wholly in it. Ibsen writes from fantastic female characters.
Yes.
And I also thought, considering the time as well, that's kind of really bold. I really enjoyed what she did. A real moving journey that she has to go on. So much going on for that character, and I thought she was great. No whoring, in my opinion. There are times where she had to step it up and say, this is what I'm feeling right now. But that's what she was, and there are other times when she brought it back. and she was the driving force among the household, where this man was kind of a bit of a wet lettuce.
Lucy Briers, I'd like to mention, as Mrs. Helseth.
Yep.
The interfering housemaid who has seen and lived generationally, I imagine, a journey with this family.
And sees everything.
Yeah, has seen everything. And is probably really sort of upset, and she doesn't want it to fall apart. She's got a fear about them losing their presence. But fantastic comic moments as well. I loved her comic timing.
I almost felt as if I shouldn't be laughing at certain points. I was thinking, should I be laughing? Is this meant to be a comedy? But I think it kind of is a little bit, and there are those moments in there. So yes. Who else?
Tom Burke as John Rosmer. It's centred around him, really.
I thought he suited it.
I
thought he
his
suited
performance.
that character. He's got a lovely tone, and there's kind of like just nothing about him, but there was passion when he wanted to have passion. I misguided, lost his faith and lost his direction.
I felt that.
Change.
I felt his sense of loss, and I felt his sense of desperation. I felt his sense of longing and like his urgings and his sort of real conflicted what he was and what he feels he should be. And I just loved it because for me he didn't overplay it at all, which I loved.
Okay, what do you think of Giles Terera?
Giles Terera, thought he was again brilliant.
Really good.
I loved seeing him outside of a musical. It is a great part. It's so well written, but he really does bring it to life. He has the very funny moments. He says what a lot of people are thinking. He's very out there as a character, and I was convinced by his performance. Very convinced.
Convinced. Yeah, I liked him a lot in this. I guess there's one more.
Peter Wight as Ulrich Brendel.
He's a very small part, almost little cameo moment in the first and second act, and yet Wonosova completely very safe in his hands. This lost theorist, I guess.
I mean, I could see him playing Falstaff. I mean, I'm sure he already has, or he's got that sort of big presence
jovial
about himself. Yeah, he's done Lear. I can see that. As a lot of his credits, he's very much of that ilk. Huge amount. He will work until the day he dies.
And there's about 6 in the core company, and then supported by a cast of other 6 who kind of are the housemaids and the servants, and they float around and change the scenes when the scene changes work.
Yeah, now let's talk about the set for a second. Designed by Ray Smith, so it's an absolutely stunningly beautiful set. I mean, if you've seen the production stills that we'll put into this video, you will see the richness of this dilapidated house which has suffered a lot of damage, which echoes in the damage that has been felt by its inhabitants. And I just thought it was absolutely stunningly realised from a sort of conceptual point to actually on stage. There's a part where a wall is supposed to come in, a rather large set piece, and we had at least a 5-minute show stop, guys.
As the stage manager came on stage, said, "Sorry guys, sorry, Hayley, do you want to go off? Yeah, you're acting really well, but
we need to take
got
a
bit
moment
of a problem here
because we can't bring the wall in." And then they proceeded, as the stage crew, to move some of the set around and bring the wall in safely, I imagine. We'll talk more about show stops in the future. Anybody have a map? So let's not talk more about it right now.
When we're talking about the set, I don't want to give any spoilers. However,
there is a big coup de theatre at the end, isn't there?
Big coup de theatre, is that the word we're going for? What did you think of that?
I thought it could have been even more so, to be honest with you. It was good, but
ramped it up. That was about a 10. We should have gone to about a 70 or 80. Then that would have been a wow.
Yeah, I would want to put it up to 11. I mean, it was nice, but it could have been even better, in my opinion.
So a bigger coup de theatre. Lighting. Can we talk about the lighting?
It felt a bit wet, is what it felt.
Okay.
I would say Neil Austin is probably one of the best lighting people we have in the West End right now.
So atmospheric.
My God, is that good lighting.
So how the set works is the interior of a room, and on stage, left it would be these huge windows, and it's almost lit as if it's just the ambient lighting from outside. The sunlight is lighting the set, and it felt as if that is what was happening. These beautiful shafts of light and the colours that would
different
go
times
through
of day.
different times of day. These lovely rosy oranges and just really nice stuff.
Absolutely loved the lighting.
Love the lighting.
So
I'm not sure if I've made that clear.
I think
that
Ian
like
Rickson has brought across some really strong elements into the piece, but I just don't think it pays off, and I think it's the fault of the adaptation. I think it's the fault of the text. But all the elements
sounds as if
there.
you're wrapping up there, so shall we wrap up?
Let's wrap it up. So, for Rosmersholm,
currently playing here.
as in it's the Rosmers home.
Okay.
You see, Rosmersholm. Get
Is
it?
that what it is?
Yeah, it's
the Rosmersholm.
Rosmersholm.
Oh, right.
You see what they did there?
Wow.
Wow, who knew?
Translation.
For the piece we are going to give, and this production, I suppose, 3.
3 stars.
Yeah, just didn't blow me away, guys. Good elements, but do they all come together to make a fantastically delicious recipe? I don't know. They just don't, because for me, what holds the biggest weight in any production is the story, is the play text. And it's not an Ibsen. I mean, it's not an Ibsen I've seen produced before, and maybe that's the reason why. Maybe it's originally not his greatest work, or maybe it's this adaptation. But I would like to think it's the adaptation because I still love Ibsen.
Yeah, it just didn't quite land for me. I think something, as I said, interesting themes. I love Ibsen's work, but just not quite there.
Not today.
Not today.
But you know what? That's just what we think.
And what do you think?
Yeah, have you seen this piece before? Have you seen this production? We'd love to hear from you, so pop down below and let us know. If you want to see more of us just chewing the fat about some theatre sometimes, hit subscribe. It's nice to know you're there, because I could talk to him anytime.
And like a lot of people did enjoy this. There were pockets of standing, so I'm sure you would have had different experiences.
Yeah.
So let us know. We're the Break a Leggers.
And we'll catch you again soon.
Bye.